It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook.
The future is not where companies need the creators. The future is where the creators are the companies. And these companies who don't catch up just get deleted by creators. Like if you look at what Mr. Beast is doing, it's like Hershey's actually probably should be worried at this point. They should have had someone like him, but they don't. And so they forced his hand to make his own thing, right? And he's actually doing pretty well. And so like they're at a point where if they're like 10% of the market, like that's significant. And that's a real danger to like a big incumbent candy company.
Back in the summer of 2021, we had Kevin Espiritu from Epic Gardening here on the show. And he gave us a great insight on how he turned his blog into a little mini empire, selling products and building out this brand called Epic Gardening that had millions of YouTube subscribers, now products of his own. And I wanted to bring him back on because that empire has grown by like 10x, probably even more. He has recently acquired companies, partnered with companies, and does a lot more than affiliate marketing. So if you are a brand and you have even a small but loyal following and you're curious about how you could potentially work with other brands together to create your own products, to sell your own products, to drop ship products, well, then this is the episode for you. We're also going to talk about content and products and how they kind of play a role with each other, as well as what it's actually like to go this big. We often talk about staying lean, staying small, staying nimble, but there's also the other side of the equation and the benefits of that. Going big, scaling up, and how to do that, but also the cons about that as well. We're going to talk about all of that with Kevin today in this update. So I hope you enjoy this session 783 of the SPI podcast. Here he is, Kevin Espiritu.
You're listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network, a show that's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He knows the secret to cooking perfect rice involves the first knuckle on your pointer finger, Pat Flynn.
Kevin, welcome back to SPI, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, dude.
A lot has happened since you've been on the show last. You now have, I think I saw a headline the other day, you have a $30 million empire now in the gardening space, which is insane. How do you feel on this end of it now, starting as a solo blogger to now kind of empire builder?
Man, it's very odd to be on the quote other side, although it doesn't really feel like there's another side. It just kind of feels like what you're doing, and you put your head up every so often and things are built. But yeah, I mean, it's been a wild journey. I think the last time we talked, we were maybe just after raising some funding or just prior. I think it was probably just after. And so there was a lot of building yet to do. And we had some acquisitions in mind, and those acquisitions are now complete. And so that's part of where that empire comes from, because you can't really build things that fast sometimes. And so we did purchase a seed company, and that's probably the biggest change since the last time we talked.
purchased a seed company. You have an amazing story that I heard about this and how I think the company was looking to sell and somehow you got on their radar. Can you tell that story?
Sure. Yeah. So the company is called Botanical Interests. I have the hat on if you're watching the video. And it's a brand that's beloved in the gardening space. It's something that it's a seed company I grew for, I don't know, about 10 years now. These beautiful packets. You go into a nursery, there's like this white packet with like this hand illustration on it done by a botanical artist, which is a real type of drawing. It's like a subcategory of illustration. And I'd grown them for years, and we were looking for basically a seed company to purchase because we were like, it's very difficult to get into that business from scratch. And it's one of the things that in the gardening world you love to grow every single year. You know, you're looking through the catalog. If you're not a gardener, what happens is like December, a catalog will arrive at your doorstep, maybe 5 catalogs if you're addicted like I am. And then you kind of comb through them over the holiday season and you're like circling the things you want to grow. And then you put your order in and then the seeds come and you start growing those out for the season. And so it's just a heritage part of a gardener's life. So when we looked for seed companies, but Botanical Interest was one that was on the radar, and they were interested in selling. It was a founder-led company that had been running for about 29 years. And I think they were just at a point where they were like, we need to find the right successor to hand the reins to because we're ready to retire. And we put our hat in the ring, metaphorically and I guess literally, where went out there to meet the guys and shook my hand, said, oh, let me grab a photo. I've got a friend who's a big fan of your YouTube channel. And so immediately I was kind of like, okay, like maybe I have an in here that another purchaser might not, and gave me some swag, one of which was the hat. And so then I told my investors, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to wear the hat for like 6 to 8 months, however long it takes to get the deal done. And I know they'll see it because I know they watch the channel. And so maybe that'll make a difference. Maybe it won't, but I'm going to do it. And so when we went through the bidding process for the business, we threw our number in, and we weren't the highest number out there, but they went with us. And I think part of it was the fact that we cared about the brand. We were gardeners. We weren't like some random company coming in that wanted to like totally transform everything and ruin what they built. But then when we did the closing party and kind of hung out with them, one of the founders was like, man, you don't know how much wearing that hat made the difference in the end.
No way.
And I was like, I knew it. I knew that was going to make a difference because it's what would have worked on me. You know, if I was selling, let's say, Epic Gardening in the future and someone actually showed they cared and it wasn't just like a business thing, then I would have taken a lesser payment. Right. And so that's why I still wear it today. It's kind of like my little homage to that technique.
I love that. And it's your company now, or you share it with the group that you're a part of now. So when you do a deal like this and you now own the seed company, do the employees stay there and they're like, it's just on paper, just the owner is a different person now? Is that how it works? Or it's a completely different world to me, you know? And I think if you could offer any sort of insight into what happens behind the scenes or what this looks like, and like, are you doing extra work now, or what kinds of decisions are you making? Are you the CEO of this seed company? What's going on exactly?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you could do it, right? So you could run it where the entities are still separate and you sort of hire someone that's sort of a sub CEO or a GM of that business unit, or you could fold it in. I mean, the first decision is like, does the brand stay or does the brand not stay? If you're making some sort of acquisition like that, you know, we've made smaller acquisitions like a blog. We purchased a blog and we ended up just folding the blog into our blog. And so the brand of that blog kind of vanished, right? And the person we purchased the blog from is just running our entire editorial operations at Epic now. So that would be an example of an acquisition where you go into it looking to fold something in and sort of fully absorb it into your own brand. But in the case of the seed company, it wasn't like that because the brand name is the company, right? I mean, everyone knows Botanical Interest. They know the packets, they know the logo, and they love it. And so do I. And so I wouldn't have wanted to do anything with that. We did end up hiring a vice president of operations to help staff it up because with the founders both leaving, you know, someone has to be the go forward manager of the business. And then on like an entity level, there's a lot of things you could do. It's almost too complex. I don't even understand some of the stuff that you have to do, like to combine the entities and all that. But yeah, I mean, I'm the CEO of the overall company of which Botanical Interest is one of our brands. So that's kind of the way that we approached it. And as far as like team, et cetera, I mean, I think that's part of the reason that they went with us in the first place is, you know, let's say you're another seed company that wants to purchase a smaller seed company like maybe some of the other bidders where I don't really know who was bidding on the business, but let's imagine that's the case. You don't need the team then, right? I mean, you probably have your own team. You might have your own warehouse. You might have your own facilities, and a lot of people would probably end up leaving, which is not what hopefully you'd want as a founder, trying to take care of your team as you exit the business. In that case, we kept every single person on the team when we initially transitioned. And, there's been some changes since, but the intention was to keep everyone.
There's a lot of talk here that's brand new for a person who just might be a blogger, right? Like VPs and acquisitions and equity and all this stuff. Like, how has your life changed in terms of your day-to-day and what is on your mind, thoughts racing through your head throughout the day? Tell me how it's changed and how does that make you feel? Because on one hand, I mean, this is so exciting. This is the dream. But then I can envision another kind of person who might say that this is wild. Like, this isn't what I got in here for. And like, is it right? I don't know. Where do you sit with it?
I'm of two minds. I mean, I think it is the dream. There's also things that come with the dream that you go, well, I didn't realize that was part of the dream, right? So, the people management part of it, which is something that was new to me, because back when we met, Epic was me and two guys. When you came out to that sale we had that one day, I'm actually still speaking, by the way, on that Scarlett device you gave me. So I'm still rocking that podcast device that you gave me. Yeah, I mean, it's the sort of context with which you look through the business changes. Like back when I was blogging, I was writing, managing a writer, and maybe an assistant or something. And I was just talking to them all the time. And there's no communication breakdown because there's like three people, and if you're listening, maybe there's one person in the business that you have. So obviously, everything. But at the scale you get to when you do an acquisition or you hire teams and stuff, it's really a lot of time spent thinking about, am I communicating the vision to the right people? And then are those people taking that and bringing that to their teams? And are they driving that forward? And so it's a lot more about people than it is about the individual like tasks you might do. I'll still film videos, I'll ideate on concepts and stuff. And then I have to switch my brain into a different type of mode to go talk to my team. Like I'll go talk to my guy running the blog and I'll be like, hey, what's on your mind? You're more of a manager, and just wasn't my skill set. And it still isn't to some degree my core. And so the way that we solve that is I hired a president for the business who effectively acts as like the day-to-day operator, helping me with all that, who's just way more experienced than I am at all of that. Because I don't think a creator, unless you're like a rare talent, even wants to be this like deep people manager, because it's not what got you where you are,
Right. How did you find that president?
So we did a pretty extensive hunt. Like we used everything in the book. My investors helped out. We used a recruiting service. We ended up finding him from a recruiting service.
Nice. I want to go back to something that we did discuss the last time you were here, and this was Birdie's Raised Beds. This was a company out of Australia that you became known for. You had a blog and a YouTube channel with a large audience, and you connected with this company to create some sort of deal and become the U.S. distributor. And you seem to have taken a number of other deals similar to that since then. I just saw one that was for cedar related raised beds, like cedar material. And then you had another product like literally 2 days before that. What did those deals look like? Because I think this is the biggest opportunity for those listening is if you have an audience and a following, you can connect with a product, perhaps it's a physical product, and do something with them. But what does that something look like? What do the deal structures look like in that case? Because it's not just an affiliate situation, right?
No, we don't really do any affiliate stuff anymore. I mean, it still exists because like the blog still has links on it, or YouTube still has some links here and there, but we just don't focus on it at all. I can talk through all three, actually. They're actually all different. So the Birdies deal, which we talked about last time I was on the show, that's a exclusive distribution deal. So we are the exclusive distributor of that brand here in the States because they come from Australia, like you mentioned. And that was the initial product I ever offered at Epic, because I was like, I had a few samples of it and they kept being shown in content and people kept saying, what are those? What are those? What are those? And so I just bugged Birdies in Australia until they let me sell them here in America. And that did really well. So that would just be called a distribution deal. We've become the exclusive distributor. So we kind of have that brand here in America.
Is there a contract in place to solidify that exclusivity? Because that's a benefit to you and your brand is to be the only ones to be able to share that. And then do you get like a cut for each one that's sold? Do they drop ship for you?
Yeah. So you definitely have to have a contract if you're doing something like that, like for sure, because you'll have to govern sales numbers and what does and doesn't count as breaching an agreement. If someone buys some and sells them again or whatever, there's all these crazy little edge cases that you would get into there. But yeah, what we do there is we literally buy them from Birdies in Australia. They put them on a container and we bring them to our warehouse. So we own the inventory. We actually purchase it.
Oh, wow. And you get it at like a wholesale price essentially, or like
at a wholesale price. Yeah. I mean, effectively it's like buying a product, from a manufacturer and selling it as a retailer. And we have, fortunately, since we've got such a good relationship with them, we have the ability to influence what the product itself is, right? We say, hey, we'd actually prefer this material, or can you do this color, and all that kind of stuff. When you get into the other products, there's basically like a few different styles of relationships you could have. You could have the one that I just described, where it's basically manufacturer, retailer. You could have the dropship one that you mentioned, Pat, where let's imagine I'm selling, I don't know, like a big plastic planter or something like that I don't make myself. I don't even buy from the manufacturer. I just have it on my site. And when someone places an order, it ships from, let's say, the manufacturer's facility. That'd be more of a drop ship situation. We do a little bit of that, mostly because there's some really cool products we like that we know our audience enjoys, that there's just no economic reason to buy it. It's more efficient for the customer for us to ship it from where the manufacturer is, right? And then there's some of the stuff you mentioned, like the cedar beds that we just launched. That's a fully custom product that, I flew up to the facility. It's on Hood River in Oregon, and customized every part of that product. That one's that's just our product effectively. And it's similar with the soil test kit that we launched recently, where
that was the one. Yeah.
Yeah. The soil test kit, which I hope it does well. It's really fun because weirdly, like if you're a backyard gardener, I know you did some, especially during the pandemic, you don't know how good or bad your soil is because most of us just live in suburban homes. And so if you can just scoop a bag of soil, send it in, and you get a report back on like what's good and bad about it, that's the whole idea there. And so again, like that's our product, but we don't own a soil lab. And so we contract out the testing to an actual reputable soil lab, because you probably don't want us doing that. We're not like soil scientists, right? But we can collect the data, send it back to you, and give you recommendations. And so that's another example where it's like, it's effectively our product. It's just that a portion of it is not done by Epic itself.
That sounds A, amazing, but also B, complicated. When, beginner or mid-level YouTubers, creators hear this, I know that part of them goes, this is amazing. It would be so cool to do this. And you might even be thinking of companies that you can already begin working with. But then the reality sets in of, well, okay, how do I even begin this? Who do I even talk to? How did you know the soil lab thing that you could reach out to would say yes to this, and like who to reach out to? The opportunities are there. And of course, it's those who figure it out who reap the benefits. So can you help us figure it out? Like, how does one go through the process of getting to work with a company in this capacity where it is a little bit more involved than just, this is why affiliate marketing is great, because you just need a link and that's it.
Yeah.
And then you can just focus on marketing. But this is where the bigger rewards come in. This is where you get to, like what Kevin's doing, like literally influence or even create the products with another company. That would have been like if Caleb and I, with the Switch Pod, we didn't just like invent it from scratch, but rather we worked with another company in the space and said, hey, this is what we would love to create. And I mean, we probably could have done it that way if we knew how. How does it even work?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question, because I think even me listening to myself a few years back, I'd be like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, this doesn't make any sense, because there's so many different ways that we do it now. And the thing I want to stress to anyone listening is like, we have a pretty large team now. Epic's a team of, 50 plus people. And so we can do a lot now, right? But at the start, it's about keeping it simple. So like, I'll use an example that isn't me. There's a woman that has a YouTube channel called Aquarium Info. She's got like 3 million subscribers. I don't exactly know what she's doing as far as some of the product stuff that we're talking about, Pat. But when I look at her business, I go, she makes these really viral, very attention-grabbing videos on all sorts of different aquarium setups. Like she'll build one with like a tunnel through it, and then the fish can go from one thing to the other. She'll build one out of Legos or inside a case.
Oh, that's great.
And to me, I go, well, what's the most obvious thing anyone watching that would want in the world of the physical? And it's probably just like your very first aquarium starter kit, right? And so then the question is, okay, well, what is the best way for me to do that? And it's not even best in the sense of like, there's only one answer. Like you said, if you have a certain desire, then maybe affiliate is the way to go. If you're just like, look, I just don't even want to bother with this whole product thing. Well, then she probably could make a great living selling like whatever the best kit is for someone else, right? And that's just called affiliate marketing. Then the next step would be to say, well, maybe I want to do a little bit more. Then you might email those people and say, hey, look, I have this really big aquarium channel. I've already actually been selling some of your products via affiliate and I make some good money there. But I think my audience would really like it if it was made in this color, or if it had this shape, or these things were added to it, or this or that. Do you want to do something with me? And we can have like a co-branded kit or something like that, right? So that'd be like level 2, and they would probably jump at the chance, or they'd be stupid if they didn't, right? Because where are they getting their customers from? Probably this person. And then level 3 would be to say, hey, actually, I want you to just make the kit I want. Right? I want it to look exactly like this, ding, 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 ding. And then you have your own line and you don't even have to sort of co-brand it. It's like, hey, this is the aquarium info starter kit. Level 4 past that would be, actually, I'm just going to go to the person who makes the kit for you being the aquarium company, right? Because they probably don't make it themselves. They probably have a manufacturer. And you go straight to them and say, hey, I have this big YouTube channel. I want this kit. And this is where you got to get into like how to design the product, like you mentioned with the Switch Pod, or we have these seed trays that we sell that we design ourselves and we send it to a mold maker who makes the mold. We send that mold to a facility who presses the trays. So it's like end to end. We made that whole thing, you know?
Yeah. The trays are great, by the way.
Yeah. They're awesome. And so you can kind of see how basically what you end up doing is you start going further and further down the chain to the point where you are a product manufacturer that just happens to have a very large audience or some sort of channel that you're getting those customers from, right? And so, that's what we try to do, because why would we not want to give our customers the fairest price that we can and the best quality that we can? And we only think we can do that if we can control how that product is made. And so that's kind of like the levels that you could stair step up. And I've been through every single one. Like I mentioned, I did affiliate way back in the day. I did the drop ship. I did just like reselling something that already existed. We've customized products. Like there's a product that we sell called a Greenstock vertical planter. It's like this big vertical garden that all we do with them is we do a custom epic color, because we want to sell a color that's just unique, right? But we don't like customize the product, but you can only get that color with us.
Where do you buy that? On your side or on their side?
You can buy that only on our store. Yeah. That color is only available on our store.
Orders come in through your store, but then they get then pushed to that company to then ship out.
No, in this case with the Greenstock stuff, that's one where like we buy that inventory and warehouse it. Yeah, ship it out when we ship it out. And that's a whole nother thing. We can talk about it if you want to. It's like, do you do that or do you not? But we kind of have to now, because when we purchased the seed company, it has a warehouse and they pack seed. So we figured we might as well do it ourselves.
Dude, that's wild, bro. This is a masterclass on like leveling up beyond just affiliate marketing with how companies and brands can partner with others. I mean, we're seeing this in the space now a lot more. Who was it? MKBHD with D brands, right? And the things he's doing, and Ridge as well. So what do you think he's up to there? I mean, he's got a deal. They're paying him money, I'm sure, to influence design of it, I would imagine, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the way that worked, if I remember right. So Sean Frank's the CEO of Ridge. And I think a year-ish ago, he tweeted out, I will pay a creator $1 million to join Ridge as like our, flagship audience person, right?
Advisor or something.
And then something like that. And then like 2 weeks ago, he announced MKBHD as that person. And I was like, oh, wow, genius move. So if I had to guess, I don't know anything about that deal, but I would guess Marquez got a good chunk of equity in Ridge. I would guess he has some upfront payment or some sort of economics on the product lines he develops with Ridge. And that's probably the way that works. Because, I mean, in Marquez's case, I don't know him. I don't know his business or anything like that. But I don't think he's running his own products and like manufacturing them and standing up a warehouse and stuff. So on his side, he's probably like, yeah, this is a really great and efficient way for me to get into this game with one of the best brands in the space. So it's like the perfect partnership.
I mean, he's got the subset of his channel all about cars and vehicles. He even did a video recently where I think it was about a Fisker, and it kind of is ruining Fisker right now.
I saw that. I saw the stock go.
Yeah. I mean, the power of an influencer, it's crazy. But this is how valuable you and the audience that you've built is. And for you, Kevin, I mean, this is incredible. And it's, you had touched on this, we can go back to it. The idea of having to mass purchase these things and put them in a warehouse and then ship them out. I mean, this is where probably a lot of the number of employees are working is in the fulfillment center and such. So a warehouse space, I mean, that's just, how do you know how many things to buy? That's the first question I have, is if you're working on these products, and what are you basing your numbers off of in terms of order number? Because I know there's some benefit to ordering more. You get them for cheaper, but then you also don't want them just sitting in a warehouse, taking up real estate that you're paying for monthly. My head starts to explode.
Trust me, mine too. It's wild. So I can talk through it. Like when we first started selling the Birdies beds, what I did is I bought about a $35,000 container worth of those beds, like a shipping container, one of those things you see on the back of a big truck, right? This was a 20-foot container, which is like half the size of a normal one. So I was like really a small buy, but that was like half the money I had in my life at that point in time. And so I was like, okay, it's pretty risky. But I just bought about 500 units. I had no data, right? I had no idea what they'd sell because I hadn't sold anything. But I was like, my audience is this. They keep asking about this. I have 500. What does my gut say? Do I think I can sell the 500? And my answer was yes, right? So when I sold them, they sold in like a week before they even got to America. I was like, okay, well, I was wrong in a good way. I was wrong in the sense of I undercounted how many I think I could sell. So that's the way I approached it first.
You kind of pre-sold them kind of before they arrived.
Yeah,
I mean, you paid for them up front, but before they arrived, you collected money.
Yeah, I paid for half up front. And that's another thing, Pat, is like the terms at which you buy things is really important once you get into this world. Because, when you look at a company like Apple buys things on like net 180 terms. So, you give them the product, or like, let's say the screen for the iPhone or something, they pay you 6 months later and they say, thank you. Right. And so they have the ability to do that. And think about it, that's just like a 6-month interest-free loan on that inventory. And so your terms start to get really important. And in this case, I had 50% upfront. So I owed half of that $35,000 right away. And then the other half, I owed 1/3 of it every month for 3 months. So the others, call it $18,000. I owed basically $6,000 a month for 3 months. And that was my manufacturer's way of saying, hey, we know you're like getting your feet wet here. We'll give you some break on this payment just in case like this doesn't sell or whatever, right? And so negotiating that even becomes important. But to get back to the inventory question, like how do you know how many to buy? You kind of don't at the start. You're just taking a stab and you're making your best guess. But as you start to get data, you'll understand how to start forecasting inventory. So like in our case, we're very seasonal. Gardening is very seasonal. In the spring, you're buying. In December, like no one's really buying, right? And so we have like a demand curve that our team puts together, and they say, okay, well, last year we sold this many of this, this many of this, this many of this, right? In each month. And then you've programmed some level of growth in the business, right? So you're like, oh, well, next year we want to grow by 25% or something. So you go, well, we should probably order at least 25% more of these. And so you're kind of tracking all these different things. And that's where like, unless you're a whiz at it, you need someone to help you on your demand planning or your inventory planning, because you could actually really get stuck out. Like if you overbuy, to your point, not only do you owe more money, but you're not selling them because you overbought, right? There's not enough demand for the supply that you have, and it's sitting in a warehouse and you're paying on that. And so you could really start to get yourself in a hard position.
Running a business means legal questions are inevitable. Is this contract or agreement solid? What can I do if a client won't pay me? Am I set up properly for taxes? Well, rather than trying to navigate all of this on your own or searching endlessly online, imagine having a law firm on your side without the high hourly rates. That's exactly what Legal Shield's small business plans offer. With Legal Shield, entrepreneurs get access to real legal support, contract reviews, collection letters, guidance on business formation, and even help handling IRS audits. Members can book consultations, upload documents through the app, and work with a provider law firm that understands small business laws in your state. You also get proactive help on tax and trademark questions so you can stay ahead of legal risks. And if a client delays payment, Legal Shield can send professional collection letters to help you recover what you're owed, all for a fraction of what traditional attorneys charge. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. We see these things everywhere. I bought 5 of them. 5 of the Birdie's beds because they're great. A couple of mine were probably on one of those containers when you sold it. I mean, I feel like more of this should be happening because people aren't willing to step up to try to make it happen. I mean, these companies with products, they need you as you have that direct connection and that trust with the audience. It's just so scary. How else might you be able to mitigate that risk when trying something like this? Is there like a small way to begin just to kind of get your feet wet?
Yeah, the smallest way I think is, let's say you're a blogger in the cooking space or something like that, and you're making a good amount of money on like Amazon affiliates, which is something we did back in the day, right? I mean, one thing you might do there is you might just like go look at your Amazon affiliates report for the last year or something and just see what units you sold the most of. Like if you sold thousands of this little silicone spatula or something, or if you sold, hundreds of this other product where you get a good commission on it, let's say, well, then your audience wants that from you, right? Because they're buying it, just they're not buying it from you. And then you could go to that company and say, hey, look, I've already sold like 5,000 of these things for you last year. Like, why don't we just do something together? And you could say, I don't want to do something like I just described where you're like buying all this inventory and shipping it across the world and all that. But I just want like my own custom color, or I want, the Pat Flynn Epic spatula or whatever, right? And you can say, why don't we just test this out? Let's just make a few, just whatever de-risks it. But I agree, Pat, like not only should this be happening more, like I'm even more extreme than I think you described, where I'm like, the future is not where companies need the creators. The future is where the creators are the companies. And these companies who don't catch up just get deleted by creators. Like if you look at what Mr. Beast is doing, it's like Hershey's actually probably should be worried at this point. They should have had someone like him, but they don't. And so they forced his hand to make his own thing. Right. And he's actually doing pretty well. And so like they're at a point where if they're like 10% of the market, like that's significant. And that's a real danger to like a big incumbent candy company.
Have you had Feastables, like the new formula?
I haven't tried the new one yet. I tried the old one.
Dude, the new one is so good. I'm not even kidding.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's actually my family and I, because we had the original formula and it was like, oh, this is okay. And it's kind of cool that it's a Mr. Beast thing. We saw it at Walmart. And then he had this great video promoting the new recipe, which we'll get into on the tail end of this conversation about branding and how do you put these products into your brand and integrate them into your marketing and such. But we tried the formula, the new one. And it's actually really good. Like Hershey's should be worried.
Yeah, I want to try the D's Nuts new formula because that's my jam. I love Reese's, so I want to see if it's better than Reese's.
Yeah, they had to change the name of that.
Did they really?
They did. A company who owned D's, DEE''S nuts.
Oh, wow.
It was like a peanut company. Basically was like, hey, you're using our name, even though it was DEEZ nuts in a complete meme and meant something different. So they had to change the name, and it's like, I don't know what the new flavor name is. But anyway.
I just found Grab D's Nuts. I mean, honestly, it's kind of the same joke, just with his grandma in the photo. But yeah, it's a bummer. But yeah, trademark's a real thing. It's a real thing.
When it comes to marketing these products that you have in your empire, how much planning are you doing? Like, okay, this month we need to talk about the seed company 3 times, and here are the 3 videos that they're going to be involved in. And then here's our new cedar plank raised bed. We're going to do 2 integrations in our own videos about that. And of course, the seed trays, we need to always have my own product in the background and ready at hand. How deep are you thinking about the integration of your own products or these partner products into your content?
Very. It's like a big debate all the time because, the thing that makes it work or made it work in the first place was that people love our content, right? Like they love to come and learn about gardening and connect with us. And the second you start to sell anything, you do get a portion of the audience that's like, oh, he's selling out or this or that, right? And it's like, okay, I understand that. Trust me. But if you do it too much, then you really are. Then you really are just taking from the piggy bank of your audience too much. And I don't like to do that. And so we sort of battle between the content team that we have and the commerce team that we have. Say, oh, this new cedar raised bed's coming out. What are you guys going to do for us to launch it? And we're like, okay, we're going to do what makes this most sense for the audience. We're not going to just come on and have a YouTube video come out and says we made a new raised bed, go buy it. So what we're going to do in that particular case, just as an example, is I'm going to use that bed in a video about square foot gardening, which is this really simple method of gardening for beginners. And it's easy to teach that in a wooden bed versus a metal bed because you can create these little grid lines. And so I'm just using the bed in an educational piece, and I'll do a quick integration. I'll say by the way, guys, this is our new cedar line bed. And I'll say, here's what we did to make it. We're really proud of it. If you like it, go ahead and check it out. It's X% off right now. And then I just won't mention it again. And so my belief is where a lot of these creator businesses have gone wrong is they've realized, okay, well, if you have an audience, you can sell a product, right? Because people like you. But what they don't do well or well enough is they don't say, would someone buy it if they didn't know me? AKA, is the product actually good enough to stand on its own? And so what we try to do is I try to make the products good enough that you'd buy them if you just walked into a garden center and saw them. You're like, oh, wow, that's cool. I didn't think about that before. So it's actually just a better product. And then the sauce is that we can market it. It can't depend on us marketing it to live. To me, that'd be a failure. So all that to say, we really try to be sensitive on how often we're promoting things.
Tell me about your content schedule. And it sounds like you now have this content team that you're working with. What's your pipeline for content, and how do you go from idea to publish? What does that look like these days?
Yeah, so we do 120 to 180 blog articles a month.
180?
Yeah, it depends on the season, but 120 to 180 articles per month we'll write.
Dude, that's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. But the blog is a huge source of business for us and traffic. So blog will probably do 50 million uniques this year or something like that.
Gee whiz.
And then on YouTube, we have 4 channels, 4 or 5. And we do at least a video a week on each of those. And then the podcast is 5 episodes a week. They're daily shows. So there's kind of a short episode. And then on short form content, it's maybe 2 or 3 a week across the different platforms that we have. And so we just switched over actually from Notion to ClickUp. Have you used that?
Mm-mm. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So we switched over. It's a task project management type, just like an Asana type thing. Yeah, we use that. And I can talk about video if you want, because I know you and I love talking about YouTube stuff. I can break that one down.
Yeah, let's break that down. Pipeline, how do you get these ideas? What's it based off of? And we'll talk about production.
Yeah. So for the ideas, it's weird in our space because we're an educational channel, right? And yeah, we entertain, and there's some other channels we have, like my homesteading channel, that's more vlog based, but the primary channel is an edu channel. And so I am of one mind. I go, well, have I even made a video on how to grow cucumbers? If I haven't, I don't really need to ideate. I just need to make that video because I want to teach the world to grow, and I haven't taught them about cukes. So I better make that video. So sometimes ideas are that simple. And sometimes ideas are more YouTube-y, so to speak, where it's what happens when you bury a fish head under a tomato, right? And there's a story to tell in that video. So it kind of depends. The first one I mentioned, that's more of a search-focused YouTube video, kind of classic YouTube education. The second is more kind of the stuff you do with Deep Pocket Monster, right? Where you're setting up an idea and paying it off through the course of the video. So we'll ideate, and we do a creative meeting every week where we kind of battle it out and say I don't think that's a good idea for this reason, or that doesn't make sense at this time of year, let's say. And then we'll program those into a schedule. We'll do the pre-production on them, which, a lot of the time it's just what materials do we need? What are the basic facts of the plant we need to get across? What's the structure of the video? And then we'll plug that into a shooting schedule. We'll shoot. Most of that happens in my backyard still. And then we'll offload that media and we send it over to the team. And then we get a first cut back, and we use frame.io to kind of leave timestamp marks and do all the editing stuff. And we'll do maybe 1 or 2 revisions there and get the thumbs, get the title, and then kind of schedule it out. And so that's the rough strokes of it, but we could dive into any piece of it that you think is interesting.
Thank you for that. How are you planning a video like growing cucumbers when it takes months for a cucumber to grow? Like, that's what I'm curious about, because there has to be some foresight into when these videos happen. But then, like, okay, you can't film it all in one day, I would imagine.
No. Well, it depends. So we have a series called Seed to Harvest, where you're right. Like, we literally will grow the plant from nothing to a full harvest. And that just takes as long as the plant takes to grow. And the annoying part about that is it's hard to keep track of, because like the fastest plant would be a month. The slowest, like the average would be 3 months, right? So it's a long grow. Also, by the time it's grown, it's actually not the time to grow it because it already grew. So like if I put the video out, a good example, Pat, is I did this one called How to Grow Corn from Seed to Harvest. And so I harvested it in the end of July or maybe August. And then I put the video out in August, and no one can start growing corn in August. So the video was terrible, right? It was like a 10 out of 10.
Oh man.
Half the views of the 9th best video. So like I felt super bad because it took so long to make. And then I was like, you know what, just wait a year, like maybe it'll come back. And that video is like probably closing in on 1 million views now. It just needed that season to come back around. But to answer the question, like for the cucumbers video, I try to have stuff growing in the backyard all the time, just in case. And so I have some cucumbers growing. I have footage from cucumbers in past years. So I could do like a 7 mistakes to avoid when growing cucumbers. And I can talk about those mistakes. And then I can paste over B-roll and like I can illustrate certain things. I might just have the cucumber growing and maybe there's a yellow leaf and I can say like, this is actually an example of the next mistake I'm going to talk about. And I don't actually have to show the whole thing growing sometimes.
That's good. Again, it just speaks to how complicated this could be and the mechanisms for tracking and how important that is. Because, I mean, how many videos at one point are you potentially simultaneously working on in this field?
These days, it's a lot, like a dozen-ish at any point in time, or just sort of sitting there. Like I'm working on one right now. Who knows when it comes out, actually? It's kind of like a question mark, but it's a fig pruning guide. So in November of last year, when you're supposed to prune figs, I did a whole segment. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm cutting in this part. Here's why. I'm cutting in this part. Here's why. Here's what we're going to see happen in the next 3 months. So like yesterday, I just filmed the update on that. So it's been 4 months, and it just, because the figs just started to grow back in. So I was like, okay, we need to film the update because I need to show that the cuts I made are now growing in the exact way I said they would. And then I need one more update so that that tree's nice and full. So I can conclude that guide and say, not only did I show you how to prune them, but here's the proof that I did it right. And then I also get a good thumbnail from that because I can do a before after or something like that.
Well, this is exactly why the channel is so special, because nobody or hardly anybody is going to go through that much effort for a fig. Yet here you are doing that.
Yeah, for a fig, and let alone like a fig that until recently, I haven't even announced this yet, but until recently, we wouldn't have any way to sort of offer you a product around a fig. We don't sell anything that has anything to do with figs. So like, why are we even spending that much time on that video, you know? Now we will have figs. Actually, we'll be able to ship figs directly to your door, fig trees. Now that video might make even more sense for the business, but I would have made it anyways because the missions teach the world to grow. And that's a thing that we want to teach you. So you're right. Like we're kind of going to a bit of an extra level.
How are you delivering fig trees? Is that through the seed company?
That's through a partnership we have with a fruit tree nursery that is growing fruit trees out that we want, and we're able to send them around the country.
Did you go to them or did they come to you?
It's a bit of both. Like we knew the founding team, and so we were like, hey, what can we do together? And they're like, well, we can do this. And we said, yeah, let's do it. We have a ton of people who want to purchase fruit trees from us.
That's awesome, man. Dude, there's so much going on. What's your daily life like in this world now? And tell me where you're at kind of mentally with all this.
I mean, it's difficult because you knew me before most of this, right? It's just, there's a lot more going on. Like you mentioned, you know, there's all the people stuff and you have investors and you're talking to those guys. You're trying to make sure you're doing right by the team. You're trying to like not get fat. Like I got fat in the last 3 years and then I had to like get unfat because I was realizing that like all the stress was getting to me and I was just like eating and not exercising because I just wanted to not do anything when I was done working, you know, which is ironic for like a gardening person to like be fat by eating burritos or something, but that's just what happened. And so it's taken a while for me to understand like, oh, all these things, all these changes, it's not just like life happening. Like it all takes some sort of toll and you have to figure out a way to like rebalance your life, because it's way different now. Like everything we talk about, these are all killer opportunities for anyone listening to the podcast. And I fully think that in every category of business, especially consumer business, like there will be someone like myself or a Beast or whoever that is kind of going at it like this. But it's not like it's some easy thing to do. Like it's quite challenging, because all the stuff that we're good at as creators is on the media side. So you have to gain all these skills that like a commerce business would know cold. Like they'd know how to develop the product and stand up an e-com site and all that kind of stuff. So it's just so many different pieces to learn, which for me, it's fun because I'm curious and I want to learn it all. But I didn't realize how much of a toll it was taking until like at least a couple years in.
Yeah, we see the behind the scenes of people like Mr. Beast and what they do and how much, in a way, they're sacrificing so much to dedicate everything to the thing that they love most and to go all in with it. And it feels like you're going down that path as well, in terms of like, you know, this is hard and you're sacrificing some stuff, but you're going in hard, and you're doing so many amazing things in the space of gardening. You're like the Mr. Beast of gardening. For you, what is to finish off here, like where do you go from here? Are you going to go bigger and eventually have your own Amazon series like Beast is, you know, in the world of gardening, you know, gardening challenges or something? I don't know. Or is this a plan to, you know, eventually get to the point where it's just like some giant exit of some kind, and then you can just chill and retire young? And like, where do you want to go?
You know, it's so interesting because like I could retire before I even raised any money. Like, you know, Epic was doing well. You're a one person team and you have a bunch of ad revenue coming in or whatever. And it's like, but retire and do what is my question? Because I would have, what would I retire to? I'd probably maybe buy more acreage and like rebuild the homestead in a larger space, because I just want more space. But I'm like, I'm kind of already doing that already. And so as far as like the vision for the future, I don't think we'll do, who knows? I don't know that we'll do some sort of big Amazon or Netflix streaming deal. We've talked to those people. It's hard. A gardening show is kind of hard to conceive of. It just takes way longer than they're all comfortable with. But where I see us going is we might actually own and operate nurseries. Because if you think about it, that's where the soul of gardeners go. You go to a nursery to like, you go on the weekend, you bring your kid, you know, you get a coffee at the little coffee shop there, you buy your plants, you go home, you plant. We sell the premier seed brand already into the nurseries. We love nurseries. They're like our core customer in our wholesale business. And that's where all of our audience wants to go. And so I was like, why would we not have an Epic nursery and see if we can level up that experience, and then think about what that would do for our content too. You could have an entire sub channel or media property, or who knows the like talent that would come out of working at the nursery that you might have. And you could have 15, 20 of those things around the country. And that could be the next chapter. And it kind of goes to that whole thing I was saying of like, companies don't really need these creators, in the sense that creators might just completely own these companies if they're smart enough, you know? So like nurseries, or what if Beast did a version of C's Candies, right? What if he came after that and he had a bunch of these, because C's Candies is like a pretty profitable operation. I think Warren Buffett owns the whole thing. What's to say Beast couldn't take that on and do a better job? I think he definitely could. Right. And so why would he not? Maybe he will. I have no idea. But
there's a lot of empty mall space now.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. It's just keep playing the game.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast with Chris Williamson and Hermosi was on it. And they were talking about this idea of like, you know, one of the suckiest things to happen is to like hit your goal. And it's such a different way to think about it. But it's like when you hit your goal, it's like, okay, I'm here, and you expect like something grand to happen. But then you go, okay, well, I'm here now. What's next? And you've worked so hard and you're like not enjoying the process because you think that when you hit that goal, everything's going to change. But then you hit the goal and it's just like, well, everything's the same as it was before. I'm just maybe a little bit richer, or maybe
it's depressing.
Kind of, yeah.
Because I mean, you've had those moments, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, exactly. But why not just enjoy the hell out of the process and the climb and what you're doing and have fun?
I guess that's it. Yeah. I mean, because once Epic's like the first thing I did that has really done super well. And I guess at some point, even before raising any money for the business, maybe like 2019 or so, I was like, oh, it's like doing better than I expected it to do. I'm able to have a lifestyle that I really enjoy. I'm not some super spendy guy, but like I'm not worried about what something costs at a restaurant anymore or something. And that was like my bar. And so once I got past that, I was like, it feels like the rest of this is just kind of gravy. There was that moment of like almost a depressive moment where you're like, oh, that's it then? Okay, so what now? And I guess the answer I've come to with what now is kind of what you're saying, where it's like, just keep playing the game, because that is the end. So there's a whole trope of the journey is the destination of journey or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's just annoying that you have to actually get there, so to speak, to realize that you were there. But maybe that's just the human experience.
Maybe, and I know you used to play poker, and we talked about that the last time you were on. It's like seeing the next hand come in and the possibilities of what that might turn into is so fun. It's more fun than having won all the chips at the end.
Yeah, because the game's over then, right?
Exactly. The game is over. So enjoy the game while it's being played, and it seems like you're playing the game really well, and I love how you've been leveling up. It's an inspiration for me as somebody who not just has SPI, but this entertainment brand and Deep Pocket Monster. It's helping me think bigger and find new ways to play this game as well, and partnerships and other things are happening kind of as we speak.
Yeah. No, it's been really cool to watch you take it to where you've taken over the last couple of years. It's been really cool.
Thank you. Well, you're making me think bigger and reminding me to have fun with that process. So I appreciate that a lot. And just congratulations to you, man. And if you do end up creating a nursery brand at some point, Epic Nursery would be sick. Let me know how I can help or be a part of that, because I'd love to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. I know you have a plethora of things that you could offer in terms of where to go and where to find you or see the brand in its motion, but where would you recommend people go from here?
If you want to see kind of what we're up to, epicgardening.com, always a good place to go. If you do like to garden or are interested, Botanical Interests is our seed company, just botanicalinterests.com, or just walk into a nursery and look for the packets that have illustrations on them. And that'll be us.
Nice, man. Thanks so much for today. I appreciate you, bud.
Yeah, likewise.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Kevin over at Epic Gardening. And trust me, if you need gardening advice, his channel is the one to go to. And he's got some other characters on his channel. Jacques, who is sort of a fan favorite who shows up in his videos. He's wonderful as well. And he has his own channel that now has nearly 500,000 subs that goes along with Epic Gardening as well. And Epic is right. This is an empire that Kevin is building. And I mean, the nursery idea, everything, things can grow really, really big, really, really fast when you put the right pieces into place. But I think it's important to keep in mind your mental along the way. And I'm really glad we touched on that at the end as well, in terms of why are we doing this and for what. So thank you again for listening, and I appreciate you. The episode that Kevin was on prior to this, if you want to check it out, that was episode 489. We'll link to that in the show notes as well. If you want to go to the show notes, smartpassiveincome.com/session 783. Again, smartpassiveincome.com/session 783. And I look forward to serving you in the next episode. Also, be sure to subscribe, because this Friday on episode 784, I'm going to share a little bit about how I'm doing some of the same kinds of things that Kevin is doing, not quite to his scale and level yet, but some of the stuff we're doing at Deep Pocket Monster that has notes of this, which might be a nice sort of supplement to this episode for you. So be sure to subscribe for that and all future episodes. Amazing guests coming your way. Thank you so much. Cheers. Thank you so much for listening to the Smart Passive Income podcast at smartpassiveincome.com. I'm your host, Pat Flynn. Sound editing by Duncan Brown. Our senior producer is David Grabowski, and our executive producer is Matt Gartland. The Smart Passive Income podcast is a production of SPI Media and a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network. Catch you next week. Have you dreamt about being your own boss, but still haven't made the first steps to making that dream a reality? Well, I get that. Starting a business can feel super overwhelming with legal forms, paperwork, finances. It's a lot. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Taylor Brands. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal assets and the business assets separate from day one. From there, you get access to everything you need to get off the ground. Legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program, all designed to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free, personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, listeners of this show get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. All you have to do is head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands. Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? ScoreApp helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI.